Hey cuties, I wanted to hop on here and I'm doing this recording because I have a lot of energy coming in, and although it's really late where I'm located right now, I'm feeling so much information coming in, so I have to get it out of my throat chakra. So I choose to do recordings at this time because it helps me to process. So for a few weeks now, I've been processing a lot of different perspectives of information that comes into me and through me and in the experience of my reality and my clientele and everything. And so when I'm doing a healing session and I sit with someone and I sit in their energy, I can actually see the layer of their programming or their healing or their part of their psyche that they're processing through their auric field in the moment. And the reason why I'm able to give them a reading on their energy of whatever's coming in is because that's the layer of wounding or shadowing or their psyche that they're in that moment. And so what I've come to realize more recently on a higher level is not only within my own healing programming, that psyop or whatever you want to call it, of my own matrix, of my own psyche that I process through all of my wounds that come to fruition that I layer and go deep in. When that happens within my field and I'm able to purge or allow those feelings to come up of whatever wounding was programmed in me growing up and through my lineage of both sides of my father's lineage and my mother's lineage, then that layer of that onion gets peeled back. But what I've noticed is that it's a part of the psyche that then in the brain and the neural pathways kind of opens up again. It's like your brain is a computer and you have had these chips of insertions placed in your DNA, etheric field, body, whatever you want to say, soul, spirit, all of this stuff. It happens where it unfolds in your reality of how your brain processes your own trauma, which is a part of like a programming computer entity, if you will. It's kind of hard to explain because there's so much information, because it's like scientifical, it's like scientific, it's like etheric, it's physiological, it's all kinds of understanding and knowing the different energies and knowing the difference between like an entity and a spirit and like divine and higher self, and is this a guide, is this an alien, like knowing the difference between is this like a programming of a psyop that's been programmed through the lineage of an entity of energy that's entering my field, but it's coming out within your psyche, and because you have this wound, it creates a thought, and then that thought creates an emotion. And then that emotion finds a place in your body and it attaches to somewhere in your body. And then if you don't feel that emotion, what then happens is that starts to cause dis-ease in your body. And then that dis-ease causes you pain. And it unleashes like this energy or toxin, if you will, or unlocks a part of your DNA within your chemical field of your body that then creates, again, a dis-ease of some sort. Whatever the dis-ease is that shows up for you is different, and whatever your soul came to experience is what you're going to experience. But it's because you're not actually feeling the emotion of the trauma, of the thought process, of the processing that you were programmed with, that got inserted into your DNA, passed down to your lineage, that is creating all of this dissonance to start with. So it's all a part of your nervous system. It's a part of your healing. It's a part of your whole reality, because what you think in your brain is what then creates the emotion. And then that emotion has a word or like a feeling of rejection or not loved or whatever it is. There's a lot of emotions. It's just completely fear and separation. And then when that emotion comes into the body, again, then that creates an energy, right? So now you've got like this program running in your brain that was programmed to you from someone outside of you that told you something that then created something in your logical mind or your brain, and that neural pathway of your brain then created a ridgeway. And that ridgeway just keeps digging deeper of overthought. And so let's say that you were rejected and that made you feel insecure as a child. And it could have been a rejection from like mom or dad. It starts at the base. Or it could be something that your soul chose from a past life. And also knowing the difference between like a past life energy and is that past life in like this lifetime and like past? Or is that energy physically within the soul spirit that's coming through that is considered your past life that you're carrying on? And so knowing the difference as a healer is very important when you're doing this work and you're helping to read the energy of everyone's field. You have to be open to knowing that. But the reason why healers go down this journey and learn their self is the more work that you do inside yourself as a healer, the more you're able to then see the deeper levels of those layers of everyone else's onions. So for instance, if someone comes to me today and they're barely even cracking open their root chakra, and there's so much duality still within their reality, and they're still living in a lot of hate and victimization and pain and separation, their root chakra hasn't even been activated or opened yet. But then like, let's say we talk about that and we dredge up shadows within that, and we pull that energy out and we pull those shadows out, and we dig under the underbelly of what that energy is that they're creating in their reality. So we talk about that layer, right? And then let's say they do the inner work and they start healing those aspects about themselves, and they start feeling the emotions of what has made them feel separate in their lives in the first place. And it's usually, again, mommy, daddy wounds that started at birth, right? And it's stuff that's passed down through the lineage, through your DNA, through the way your parents were trained, through the way their parents were trained. And then that all gets put down on you. And your soul actually came here to feel the emotions and break the patterns and figure out what the emotions are and what's at the underbelly of this emotion and why am I feeling this and that and yada, yada, yada. So I can keep on going forever. But that's like one little tiny bit of a layer of the onion, right? And then you peel that back and you deal with that. And then your reality around you kind of changes. Why does it change? Because you are now currently aware of the patterns that are happening with the emotions that come up from the underbelly of the root of the issue. And if you can actually find the emotions and you can name it and you can find it in your body, and where are you feeling the pain and what's attached to it, what are the words that come up, how are you feeling in those emotions, then if you're able to name it, then you can then become aware of it and then you can tame it, right? So it's just something that once you become aware of it, then you're able to catch yourself and be the observer in those moments of how your nervous system is reacting, how you are actually reacting and projecting outward with your shit, or how you're going to say, oh man, like I'm feeling like off now, like something about this situation or this person or whatever, I'm starting to feel like a panic in my body. This is your nervous system going into a state of like fight or flight, or maybe even fawn or freeze, whatever is happening. It's your nervous system, your chemicals in your brain are being like released, and it's just like shooting into your body. And then chaos is unfolding. So then your reality around you is like fucking chaos. And it's your nervous system that's reacting to everything around you. And when you start to come to the awareness of what's happening and you start to feel the feelings of your body, and you notice that, holy shit, this is my nervous system responding to X, Y, or Z from something in your root chakra, from an experience that happened when you were a child, then you start to realize, oh shit, I'm really this age right now, And why am I feeling this panic? Why is my nervous system reacting? Where in my body am I feeling this panic? Where in my body am I feeling, are my hands clammy? Am I sweaty? Is my heart racing? It's starting to just be in the moment of what's happening and slowing down and taking care of yourself in that moment, no matter what's happening around you. No one else matters around you in this moment. Because what's important is you and your health and your stability and you regulating your nervous system in the chaos of the moment and just taking a pause. And instead of reacting and being violent or aggressive or creating more chaos or unstableness or it's like those cortisol levels are spiking in your body and it's almost like an addiction. It's controlling you. You're not in control of the situation. So if you could just slow down and stop and give yourself a moment to realize what's happening and really, really, truly just stop and look around you. And again, if you can name it, like panic or holy shit, anxiety, whatever it is, if you can like just name it in the moment, if you start to train yourself and retrain your brain in those moments, then the longer you do this devotion to yourself and the more times that you choose to take your health in and make it become responsible, actually, when you become responsible for your own reality and you start to observe what's happening to you in those moments and you're able to slow down and stop and take a breath and name it and claim it, then your brain starts to rewire and new neural pathways in your brain start to open up. Okay. And then what happens is your nervous system starts to regulate itself and it starts to feel safer. It starts to slow down. So then the next time that something like that happens, you're able to be more aware of it instead of just going crazy and getting in, getting in traffic and feeding your chaos. You just slow down and take a moment and regulate your nervous system. And then that actually makes your body say, oh, I'm not being chased by the lion right now. I'm able to actually just slow down. And then you start feeling your body start to rest a little bit. But when you first start out, it's going to be difficult because you've been running on autopilot for so long that it's going to take you time and time again, and sometimes moment to moment to moment, to undo that programming of whatever trauma you received or whatever perception that you thought of when you were a child, or whatever energy is coming through, or whatever entity is attached to your auric field, and opening up your psyche in new ways that, like, again, it's like the ego, the psyche, the left brain, the right brain, of all of this stuff, and it's bridging the logical brain that you've typically been running on your whole life, and now bridging the gap between that and opening up your pineal gland, which bridges the gap and releases everything in your brain to then open up the right side of the brain, which crosses over to the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain crosses over to the right side of the body. It's like the masculine and the feminine energies, and just finding that polarity within yourself and coming into union within yourself. But again, this is all like etheric. It's like scientific. It's like physiology. It's all about the mind, the body, and the soul, and your gut and your nervous system. And again, when you start to open up higher states of consciousness within you, this is the process of it that sometimes gets a little bit like weird and sketchy, and your ego's trying to like find its way in the path, and your psyche is starting to open up, and you're starting to expand in new ways, and you're starting to see other things that are like not normal in society. So people might hear you and they might think that you're fucking going crazy, when in all reality, you're actually just waking up to new higher states and levels of consciousness. So your intellect, your fear is being tested, your mind is expanding. And a lot of times when people aren't in that same era or choosing to do this path, it's almost like they want to call you crazy, because the first thing that love does is it actually penetrates people's energy field, and they've never received like such a purity of light and love that they almost want to like call you crazy or suppress you, because your growth will make people very uncomfortable. And so people like the wounded you. People like the one that they could always go out and drink with, or the one that they could always joke with, or the one that they could abuse, or the one that they could manipulate. And so when you start to awaken and you start to see your worth and you start to open up to new pathways of consciousness levels and you come into your own empowerment and you heal, you start to notice things around you will fall away. And a lot of times, family members, friends, or community, whatever, they're like, oh, you've changed. Well, yes. Thank you for the compliment. Just keep going, because that's a part of the process. And it's okay if people that aren't on your path think that you're crazy. It's just because they don't understand your path. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you. Your states of your psyche are opening up on levels that this is your journey of what you came to experience. And so there is no judgment about it. There is no, people do want to judge you about it and try and tell you what to do or what's right for you or what's wrong for you. And you should be on this path, and they're doing like the knife hand at you and shit, But that's just another sense of like fear, another sense of control that everyone's kind of just been programmed. It's like, I'm concerned about you. Well, concern is fear. But a part of your process is just loving you where you're at and just be okay with it, because your experience isn't going to be their experience, and their reality is what they're supposed to go through. And sometimes they want to tell you what your reality is supposed to be or how it's supposed to look, because that's kind of how what they're going through. But the simple thing is that the fact is that no journey is the same. There's sometimes when you connect with people and it resonates and you find your tribe and they understand you, what the most important thing is that you love yourself and you're okay and you're having joy on your path. And if someone else doesn't like that and they want to like change you or whatever, maybe they're not for you. Maybe they're scared because they're losing you. So their loss of love or not gaining love from you are the two options that their fear is succumbing over them to, where it's like they're feeling like they're going to lose you. And so they're going to do every little thing that they can to either try and manipulate you, control you, or say I'm worried about you, or I'm very concerned, or things are happening and this doesn't make sense and are you going crazy? It's because at the bottom base of it, they have a fear of losing you or losing love from you. So it's okay. Once you realize that, you just realize everyone's kind of just doing the best they can with the best they have, and just keep going on your path. Just keep opening up layers of your psyche. Whether it's crazy or not, it doesn't matter. These are levels of the programming that you've had put into your psyche, that you've had put in through the generational curses that you're clearing. So it doesn't matter if you're seeing aliens or being abducted, and maybe you'll spend your whole life doing that this lifetime. If that's what your soul came and chose to do, was be all about aliens for the rest of your life in this lifetime, that's what your soul came to do. And maybe your soul didn't choose to wake up to the pattern of like, holy shit, this is a part of the psyop that's happening, that's in my psyche that I'm just not able to clear, or whatever. It's just a level, or whatever it is for you. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, okay? As long as you're safe and you're happy and you're just doing your life the way you know how, and you're serving your purpose one way or another, it doesn't really matter in the end, okay? It doesn't matter if they think you're crazy or if you think you're crazy. Everyone is fucking crazy. Everyone has some level of crazy. So if you're doing it from a place of love and you're trying to better yourself and you have these layers of the onion that you're peeling, eventually if you keep peeling and peeling and peeling, you'll notice, oh man, maybe I was feeling the aliens at one point and they served me, and now I don't know. It's just I don't get them anymore. Well, that's because you went through that layer of whatever that programming was, and it no longer serves you anymore. So now you're on a different layer of like God and Buddha and Jesus, it's all the same thing. It's all divine power. It's all whatever. But maybe you're going through purging like some religious stuff out of you, or just opening up to new philosophies. Whatever it is for you is where you're supposed to go, because it's helping you with your thoughts and your process and your manifestations, and it's helping you to find your tribe, and your tribe is finding you, and then that'll help. And then when you open up that state of your consciousness, then the collective consciousness gets it. But as long as you're just doing you and you're happy, nothing else matters. If you're bettering yourself to be better for the planet, there's no harm in anything that you're doing. And even if you're doing like little sneaky, greedy, I'm sleeping and I like to hurt people, you're still serving your purpose. Some people don't like that because they're not able to accept and love everyone, no matter how wounded they are. People cannot grasp that that person's still serving their purpose. The demons are still saints. Saints and sinners, bro. The saints are helping in a way, and sinners are also helping in a way. Everyone is helping the collective to evolve one way or another. The people that you feel wound you or hurt you are actually your greatest gift. Because when that wound shows you where when that person actually shows you where you're wounded the most and what hurts the most, that is your opportunity to look in the mirror and say, what did they show me? Why am I so triggered here? Why am I so agitated? Why am I so hurt? Why did I go through this experience? What am I supposed to be learning in this? And how can I soften and open up my heart even more in this moment? It's like, thank you for teaching me that. Because without that demon or that person that you're feeling hurt you, it's an experience that you asked for. And underneath it all, it's really an angel, because that angel came to help you grow and help to make you stronger in one way or another. Whether you see it now or not, doesn't really matter. That's your path. And maybe your path is not to ever see it, and it's for you to be wounded for the rest of this lifetime, so that when you die, you like wake up and you're on a different level, so that when you reincarnate, whether you believe in that or not, doesn't really matter to me. This is what I know to be true because of my own experiences through the realms of my own awakening and etheric energies. But when you incarnate again, it's like, oh shit, I've been that, I've experienced that, Let me go ahead and sign this new contract. Like, I don't want to experience being miserable for my whole lifetime now. I'm going to go ahead and experience this. And you experience everything in every lifetime. You've been everything. You've been male, female, a murderer, a rapist, a saint, a martyr. You've been all of that in all of the timelines. You're experiencing all of that, which is also why sometimes your psyche and your energetic field and the entities coming in are sometimes confusing, or it feels crazy, because like the human part of you is like, oh, I've been programmed to be like, nah, this ain't happening. Like that doesn't exist because of this program or that program, or what someone told you it was bad and it shouldn't be this, or you should be a good little boy or a good little girl, or however, again, that programming through the DNA, through your lineages on both sides. Okay, and it's not just your mom and dad, it's your mom's mom and dad, your mom's mom and dad's mom and dad, right? And then all their family members and all of their societal constructs and what was happening around their time frame. And then you've got your dad's mom and dad, and your dad's mom and dad's mom and dad, right? So it just keeps going on and going on. So you have to remember, through the process of your own awakening in your own psyche, you're clearing frickin' eons and ages of all of this evolving energies that you've been programmed with through all of your lineage in your DNA. So when you crack open new DNA and you break all of this old programming that's been put upon you, it's a lot of fucking work. And it's a lot of shadow work, and it's a lot of fucking pain, which is why a lot of people don't fucking do it. Because it's so much easier to be like, you did this, you did that, you did this to me, you hurt me over here, blah, 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 blah. Instead of seeing it as, Thank you for the fucking lessons. I attracted this based on my trauma, that I created a thought that created the emotion, and that emotion inside my body created an energy, and that energy field then attracted the bullshit that I attracted because I didn't heal this wound yet. And so that experience of the X, Y, or Z that you're seeing as negative outside of you is then being shown to you to point to you like a mirror. Hey, I'm showing up to show you where you're wounded and show you your weak spots so that you can learn and grow and evolve and wake up to higher states of consciousness. But your human self over here in your little logical mind is like, ouch, I'm not doing that. You hurt me. So try and remember that this is your creation, and everyone that you experience is here showing you something that's going to help you evolve. Whether it's needing more boundaries, whether it's learning how to open up your heart more, whether it's learning how to be stronger, whether it's helping you to come into your highest state of being. It's all to help you evolve for the better. And the sooner you get on board with learning the lesson and seeing it like that, the happier you'll be. The more your body will kind of start to regulate. The more practices you do where you regulate your nervous system and you realize when you're in reaction to stop and just take a pause, find out where in the body you're feeling it, and then try to just sit with that emotion and the uncomfortableness. When you try and make it stop, it actually builds up bigger and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it gets explosive and it causes more dis-ease in your body. It causes cancers and all kinds of autoimmune diseases and inflammation, and it makes you just eat like shit and cope with alcohol or drugs or pills or whatever you do, addictions of gambling, whatever it is, when you're suppressing it, when you're trying to make the emotion stop. But if you can actually make yourself in that moment, train yourself, not make yourself, just train yourself to feel where it's at in your body and be with the uncomfortableness and just allow it to flow over you like a wave, then and only then, that's when you start to really awaken to the awareness, and you start to awaken to your nervous system, how it responds in each time that you're having a reaction. And this, when you start to regulate your nervous system, then you're able to slow your nervous system down. You start to become more safe. You start to have more blissful states of being. You start to allow everything to happen. And then that's when the healing starts happening. That's when the sloshing off of all those dense energies start to happen. And that's when your toroidal field actually gets wider, but it gets more protective. It gets brighter. You feel better. So it's like it does the complete opposite. When you're dense and you're having these feelings and you're like always getting attacked, that's when everything can attach to you. That's when you're getting sick. That's when you're having all these ailments and illnesses and pain. But when you start to heal and you expand your energy field and your vibration raises, you don't get illness. Nothing attaches to you. You just, it's just more blissful, and you get more protected on the outside, and you start to let the fear go of everything. And so when you go out in places, you no longer feel drained, or you no longer take on other energies, because your field is bigger. You feel better. So you're more protected. So it's like you don't take on those densities, and you just feel healthier altogether. But it's because you're regulated in your nervous system. And so then your nervous system's like, oh, I'm not being chased by lions all the time. Holy shit. So if this video resonates for you, that's great. Like, share, subscribe. If you're interested in more, ask questions, hit me up. I'm always open to sharing. I think it's a good time. I think it's fun. Healing's hard as shit. Shadow work is hard as shit. But you know what? In the end, it's totally worth it, because if it makes you happier and your nervous system feels at ease and you can sleep and you have peace and that makes you happier, then everything and everyone around you is happier too, because you are like a ball of light. You're a ball of peace. You're a ball of just like joy, and people can see that. And people can feel your vibe. You can say all the words you want, but you have a vibe. So even if you're saying something, if the vibe's off, bro, people know it. Anyway, have a good night.